Okay, today is 2nd of September, and this is the 44th time we are talking on the Majjhima Nikaya Suttas. Now we come to Sutta 108, Gopaka Moggallana Sutta, with Gopaka Moggallana. Thus have I heard. This is a very important sutta. No? On one occasion, the Venerable Ananda was living at Rajagaha in the bamboo grove, the squirrel sanctuary, not long after the Blessed One had attained to final Nibbana. Now on that occasion, King Ajatasattu, the Dehi Putta of Magadha, being suspicious of King Pajota, was having Rajagaha fortified. Then when it was morning, the Venerable Ananda dressed, and taking his bowl and outer robe, went into Rajagaha for alms. Then the Venerable Ananda thought, it is still too early to wander for alms in Rajagaha. Suppose I went to the Brahmin, Gopaka Moggallana, at his workplace. So the Venerable Ananda went to the Brahmin, Gopaka Moggallana, at his workplace. The Brahmin, Gopaka Moggallana, saw the Venerable Ananda coming in the distance and said to him, "Let Master Ananda come. Welcome to Master Ananda. It is long since Master Ananda found an opportunity to come here. Let Master Ananda be seated. This seat is ready." The Venerable Ananda sat down on the seat made ready. The Brahmin Gopaka Moggallana took a low seat, sat down at one side, and asked the Venerable Ananda, "Master Ananda, is there any single monk who possesses in each and every way all those qualities that were possessed by Master Gotama, Arahant, Sammasambuddha?" Venerable Ananda replied, "There is no single monk, Brahmin, who possesses in each and every way all those qualities that were possessed by the Blessed One, Arahant, Sammasambuddha. For the Blessed One was the arouser of the unarisen path, the producer of the unproduced path, the declarer of the undeclared path. He was the knower of the path, the finder of the path, the one skilled in the path. But his disciples now abide following that path and become possessed of it afterwards." Stop here for a moment. So here, Venerable Ananda is saying that the Buddha is the founder of this Noble Eightfold Path, which has long been forgotten. And the Buddha is very familiar with this path and teaches this path, and his disciples follow the same path. So if they follow the same path, they must arrive at the same destination. So the enlightenment of the Buddha and his disciples are exactly the same. Only thing, as is mentioned in the Sangyutta Nikaya, the Buddha says he is the first one to find this path, which has been lost for a long time. In other words, the Buddha is the first Arahant. In fact, in the suttas we find only the Buddha is called the Arahant. His disciples are not called Arahants. His disciples only later came to be called Arahants. During the Buddha's time, his disciples were called disciples liberated by wisdom. But this discussion between the Venerable Ananda and the Brahmin Gopaka Moggallana was interrupted. For then the Brahmin Vasakara, minister of Magadha, while supervising the work at Rajagaha, went to the Venerable Ananda at the workplace of the Brahmin Gopaka Moggallana. He exchanged greetings with the Venerable Ananda, and when this courteous and amiable talk was finished, he sat down at one side and asked the Venerable Ananda, "For what discussion are you sitting together here now, Master Ananda, and what was your discussion that was interrupted?" Brahmin, the Brahmin Gopaka Moggallana asked me, "Master Ananda, is there any single monk who possesses in each and every way all those qualities that were possessed by Master Gotama, Arahant, Sammasambuddha?" I replied to the Brahmin Gopaka Moggallana, "There is no single monk, Brahmin, who possesses in each and every way all those qualities that were possessed by the Blessed One, Arahant, Sammasambuddha. For the Blessed One was the arouser of the unarisen path, producer of the unproduced path, declarer of the undeclared path, etc. But his disciples now abide following that path and become possessed of it afterwards. This was our discussion that was interrupted when you arrived. Is there, Master Ananda, any single monk who was appointed by Master Gotama thus, he will be your refuge when I am gone, and whom you now have recourse to. There is no single monk, Brahmin, who was appointed by the Blessed One who knows and sees, Arahant Sammasambuddha thus, he will be your refuge when I am gone, and whom we now have recourse to. I'll stop here for a moment. So actually we find in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, when the Buddha was about to enter Parinibbana, Venerable Ananda asked him, whom should we follow after you are gone? And the Buddha did not appoint a disciple to take his place. Instead, the Buddha said, you follow the Dhamma and Vinaya that I have taught. That will be your teacher after I am gone. This is in contradiction with the Mahayana teachings. In Mahayana, they said that the Buddha appointed Mahakassapa to succeed him. Also, I forgot to mention here, this is one of the suttas that was compiled after the Buddha had passed away. The time of this sutta, the Buddha had entered Parinibbana. But is there, Master Ananda, any single monk who has been chosen by the Sangha and appointed by a number of elder monks thus, he will be our refuge after the Blessed One has gone, and whom you now have recourse to? There is no single monk, Brahmin, who has been chosen by the Sangha and appointed by a number of elder monks thus, he will be our refuge after the Blessed One has gone, and whom we now have recourse to. But if you have no refuge, Master Ananda, what is the cause for your concord? That means your harmony. We are not without a refuge, Brahmin. We have a refuge. We have the Dhamma as our refuge. I'll stop here for a moment. As I mentioned just now, the Buddha says, take the Dhamma Vinaya as your teacher after I am gone. So that is what they are following. Even for the Buddha, after the Buddha was enlightened, Buddha says that his teacher is the Dhamma, that which he venerates. Even though he is the Dhamma Raja, he conducts himself according to Dhamma. But when you were asked, is there, Master Ananda, any single monk who was appointed by Master Gotama thus, he will be your refuge when I am gone, and whom you now have recourse to? You answered, there is no such single monk whom we now have recourse to. When you were asked, is there, Master Ananda, any single monk who has been chosen by the Sangha and appointed by a number of elder monks thus, he will be our refuge after the Blessed One has gone, and whom you now have recourse to? You answered, there is no such single monk whom we now have recourse to. When you were asked, but if you have no refuge, Master Ananda, what is the cause for your concord? You answered, we are not without a refuge, Brahmin. We have a refuge. We have the Dhamma as our refuge. Now, how should the meaning of these statements be regarded, Master Ananda? Brahmin, the Blessed One who knows and sees, Arahant Sammasambuddha, has prescribed the course of training for monks, and he has laid down the Patimokkha. On the Uposatha day, as many of us as live in dependence upon a single village district meet together in unison, and when we meet, we ask one who knows the Patimokkha to recite it. If a monk remembers an offense or a transgression while the Patimokkha is being recited, we deal with him according to the Dhamma in the way we have been instructed. It is not the worthy ones who deal with us, it is the Dhamma that deals with us. Stop here for a moment. So here the Venerable Ananda is saying that monks, if they Pinapata, they go on alms round to a certain village, and they stay around that village, maybe on the hills or in the valley or whatever. Since all of them come to that same village or town for alms round, so every 2 weeks they meet to chant the Patimokkha on the Uposatha day. And the Uposatha day is the 15th of the lunar calendar and the 30th or 29th sometimes. So when they come together, if they have any offense, they will confess to another monk. And so they practice the Dhamma Vinaya as laid down by the Buddha. Is there, Master Ananda, any single monk whom you now honor, respect, revere and venerate, and on whom you live in dependence, honoring and respecting him. There is a single monk, Brahmin, whom we now honor, respect, revere and venerate, and on whom we live in dependence, honoring and respecting him. But when you were asked, is there Master Ananda, any single monk who was appointed by Master Gotama, you answered, there is no such single monk. When you were asked, is there Master Ananda, any single monk who has been chosen by the Sangha, you answered, there is no such single monk. When you were asked, is there Master Ananda, any single monk whom you honor, respect, revere and venerate, and on whom you live in dependence, honoring and respecting him, you answered, there is such a single monk whom we now honor, and to whom we live in dependence, honoring and respecting him. Now how should the meaning of these statements be regarded, Master Ananda? There are, Brahmin, 10 qualities inspiring confidence that have been declared by the Blessed One who knows and sees, Arahant Sammasambuddha. When these qualities are found in anyone among us, we honor, respect, revere and venerate him, and live in dependence on him, honoring and respecting him. What are the 10? Here, Brahmin, a monk is virtuous. He dwells restrained with the restraint of the Patimokkha. He is perfect in conduct and resort. Seeing fear in the slightest faults, he trains himself by undertaking the training precepts. Number 2, he has learned much, remembers what he has learned, and consolidates what he has learned. Such teachings as are good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in the end, with the right meaning and phrasing, and which affirm a holy life that is utterly perfect and pure. Such teachings as these he has learned much of, remembered, mastered verbally, investigated with the mind, and penetrated well by view. Number 3, he is content with his robes, arms, food, resting place, and medicinal requisites. Number 4, he obtains at will, without trouble or difficulty, the 4 jhanas that constitute the higher mind and provide a pleasant abiding here and now. Number 5, he wields the various kinds of psychic power. Having been one, he becomes many. Having been many, he becomes one. He appears and vanishes. He goes unhindered through a wall, through an enclosure, through a mountain, as though through space. He dives in and out of the earth as though it were water. He walks on water without sinking, as though it were earth. Seated cross-legged, he travels in space like a bird. With his hand he touches and strokes the moon and sun, so powerful and mighty. He wields bodily mastery even as far as the Brahma world. With the divine ear element, or heavenly ear element, which is purified and surpasses the human, he hears both kinds of sounds, the celestial or the divine, and the human, those that are far as well as near. Number 7, he understands the minds of other beings, of other persons, having encompassed them with his own mind. He understands the mind affected by lust as affected by lust, and the mind unaffected by lust as unaffected by lust. He understands the mind unaffected by hate as affected by hate, and the mind unaffected by hate as unaffected by hate. He understands the mind affected by delusion as affected by delusion, and the mind unaffected by delusion as unaffected by delusion. He understands a contracted mind as contracted, and a distracted mind as distracted. He understands an exalted mind as exalted, and an unexalted mind as unexalted. He understands a surpassed mind as surpassed, and an unsurpassed mind as unsurpassed. He understands a concentrated mind as concentrated, and an unconcentrated mind as unconcentrated. He understands a liberated mind as liberated, and an unliberated mind as unliberated. Number 8, he recollects his manifold past lives, that is 1 birth, 2 births, 3, 10, 100, 1,000, many worlds, cycles, etc. Thus, with the aspects and particulars, he recollects his manifold past lives. Number 9, with the divine eye or heavenly eye, which is purified and surpasses the human, he sees beings passing away and reappearing, inferior and superior, fair and ugly, fortunate and unfortunate. And he understands how beings pass on according to their actions or karma. Number 10, by realizing for himself with direct knowledge, he here and now enters upon and abides in the liberation by mind and liberation by wisdom that are taintless with the destruction of the taints. These Brahmin are the 10 qualities inspiring confidence that have been declared by the Blessed One who knows and sees, Arahant Sammasambuddha. When these qualities are found in anyone among us, we honor, respect, revere and venerate him, and live in dependence on him, honoring and respecting him. When this was said, the Brahmin Vasakara, minister of Magadha, said to General Upananda, let's stop here for a moment. So these 10 qualities, if you have a look at it, first one is virtuous. That means he has his moral conduct. He is restrained by the Patimokkha, the 227 rules, precepts. And then number 2, he has much learning, Bahu Satcha or Bahu Sutta. That means he knows the Dhamma very well. It's very, and number 3, he's a contented person. Number 4, he has the 4 jhanas. And then number 5 onwards are the abhinyas. The abhinyas are the higher knowledges. 5 of them are various types of psychic power. And then the last one is the destruction of the asava, or destruction of the taints, which is synonymous with enlightenment, with liberation. So these are the 10 qualities. When this was said, the Brahmin Vasakara, minister of Magadha, said to General Upananda, "What do you think, General? When these worthy ones honor one who should be honored, respect one who should be respected, revere one who should be revered, and venerate one who should be venerated, surely they honor one who should be honored, respect one who should be respected, etc., and venerate one who should be venerated. For if these worthy ones did not honor, respect, revere, and venerate such a person, then whom could they honor, respect, revere, and venerate, and on whom could they live in dependence, honoring and respecting?" Then the Brahmin Vasakara, minister of Magadha, said to the Venerable Ananda, "Where is Master Ananda living now?" I am living in the bamboo grove, Brahmin." "I hope, Master Ananda, that the bamboo grove is pleasant, quiet, and undisturbed by voices, with an atmosphere of seclusion, remote from people, favorable for retreat." This is a type of place practicing monk wants to stay. Pleasant, quiet, undisturbed by voices, with an atmosphere of seclusion, remote from people, favorable for retreat. And remember, Ananda said, "Indeed, Brahmin, that the bamboo grove is pleasant, quiet, and undisturbed by voices, with an atmosphere of seclusion, remote from people, favorable for retreat, is because of such guardian protectors as yourself. Indeed, Master Ananda, that the bamboo grove is pleasant, quiet and undisturbed by voices, with an atmosphere of seclusion, etc., favorable for retreat, is because the worthy ones who are meditators, because of the worthy ones who are meditators and cultivate meditation. The worthy ones are meditators and cultivate meditation." Stop here for a moment. So here, remember Ananda says that they have such a suitable place like the bamboo grove to practice is because of strong supporters like this minister, guardian protectors. They protect the monks, protect the monks' places. And then he is a bit humble. He said, "No, it's because the bamboo grove is so pleasant because of monks like you who meditate." And he continued, "On one occasion, Master Ananda, Master Gotama was living at Vesali in the hall with the peaked roof in the great wood. Then I went there and approached Master Gotama, and in many ways he gave a talk about meditation. Master Gotama was a meditator and cultivated meditation, and he praised every type of meditation." And remember, Ananda said, "The Blessed One, Brahmin, did not praise every type of meditation, nor did he condemn every type of meditation. What kind of meditation did the Blessed One not praise? Here, Brahmin, someone abides with his mind obsessed by sensual lust, a prey to sensual lust, and he does not understand as it actually is the escape from arisen sensual lust. While he harbors sensual lust within, he meditates, premeditates, outmeditates, and mismeditates. Similarly, he abides with his mind obsessed by ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness and remorse, and doubt now. And so while he harbors these hindrances within him, he meditates, premeditates, outmeditates, and mismeditates. The Blessed One did not praise that kind of meditation. And what kind of meditation did the Blessed One praise? Here, Brahmin, quite secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unwholesome states, a monk enters upon and abides in the first jhana. With the stilling of applied and sustained thought, he enters upon and abides in the second jhana. With the fading away as well of delight, he enters upon and abides in the third jhana. With the abandoning of pleasure and pain, he enters upon and abides in the fourth jhana. The Blessed One praised that kind of meditation. It seems, Master Ananda, that Master Gotama censured that kind of meditation that should be censured, and praised that kind of meditation that should be praised. And now, Master Ananda, we depart. We are busy and have much to do. Now is the time, Brahmin, to do as you think fit. Then the Brahmin Vasakara, minister of Magadha, having delighted and rejoiced in the Venerable Ananda's words, rose from his seat and departed. Then soon after he had left, the Brahmin Gopaka Moggallana said to the Venerable Ananda, Master Ananda has not yet answered what we asked him. And Venerable Ananda said, did we not tell you, Brahmin, there is no single monk, Brahmin, who possesses in each and every way all those qualities that were possessed by the Blessed One, Arahant Sammasambuddha. For the Blessed One was the arouser of the unarisen path, producer of the unproduced path, declarer of the undeclared path. He was the knower of the path, finder of the path, the one skilled in the path. But his disciples now abide, following that path, and become possessed of it afterwards. So this last part, Ananda says again, there is no monk that can compare with the Buddha. For the Buddha was the founder of the path, the first Arahant. All the monks' disciples, the Aryan disciples, they are humble. They say the Buddha is the one, their teacher, and they dare not compare themselves with him. Even though many of them, they have all the psychic powers that the Buddha possesses. They never compare themselves with him. And also, whenever they teach, they don't say they teach the Dhamma. They always say they teach the Dhamma of the Bhagava Arahant Sammasambuddha. Okay, this most important part is that what type of meditation does the Buddha praise and what type of meditation does he not praise? The type of meditation that the Buddha did not praise is the one where a monk is obsessed by the five hindrances, sensual lust, ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness and remorse and doubt. These five hindrances, as we know, are the cause of our delusion, our stupidity, not seeing things as they really are. If you meditate and you don't get rid of these five hindrances, you are not practicing Buddhist meditation. And what type of meditation did the Buddha praise? Is the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana. So from here, it's very clear that Buddhist meditation is only the four jhanas, nothing else. And we can see in some other suttas that only when a person attains the jhanas can he get rid of the five hindrances. Without attaining the states of jhana, where the mind becomes focused and one-pointed, it is impossible to get rid of the five hindrances. As we read in some others, in some earlier sutta, that the hindrances obsess the mind and remain. And it's only when a person attains the jhanas that they no longer obsess the mind and no longer remain anymore. They are gotten rid of. So this is a very important sutta because of this point. Only one type of meditation is praised by the Buddha, that is the four jhanas. And if any meditation method, you cannot obtain the jhanas, then that is not praised by the Buddha, because only when you attain the jhanas can you get rid of the 5 hindrances. So nowadays, people teaching all types of meditation which contradicts the Buddha's teaching. So actually, the object of your meditation, whether it's the breath or kasina or anything, is not important. What is important is you must end up with the jhanas. Only if you meditate and end up with the jhanas, that is praised by the Buddha. Because when you attain the jhanas, you get rid of the 5 hindrances, then the mind can see things as they really are. That's the first step in attaining wisdom. You must see things as they really are. The second step is understanding. When you see things as they really are, then you understand. The third step, when you understand, then you can let go. So that is wisdom. The final purpose of wisdom is letting go. If a person thinks he has wisdom but he cannot let go, he certainly does not have wisdom. Okay, now we come to the next sutta, 109, Mahapunama Sutta, the greater discourse on the full moon night. This sutta, I think, is also found in the Samyutta Nikaya, Samyutta 22, Khanda Samyutta 22.82. Thus have I heard, on one occasion the Blessed One was living at Savatthi in the eastern park in the palace of Megara's mother. Palace of Megara's mother refers to Visakha. On that occasion, on the Uposatha day of the 15th, on the full moon night, the Blessed One was seated in the open, surrounded by the Sangha of monks. Then a certain monk rose from his seat, arranged his upper robe on one shoulder, and extending his hands in reverential salutation towards the Blessed One, said to him, Venerable Sir, or Bhante, I would ask the Blessed One about a certain point, if the Blessed One would grant me an answer to my question. And the Buddha said, sit down on your own seat, monk, and ask what you like. So the monk sat on his own seat and said to the Blessed One, are these not, Venerable Sir, the 5 aggregates affected by clinging, or the 5 aggregates of attachment? That is, the material form aggregate or body affected by clinging, the feeling aggregate affected by clinging, perception aggregate affected by clinging, the volition aggregate affected by clinging, consciousness aggregate affected by clinging. And the Buddha said, these monks are the 5 aggregates affected by clinging. That is, the material form aggregate, the feeling, perception, volition, and consciousness. Saying, good Venerable Sir, the monk delighted and rejoiced in the Blessed One's words. Then he asked a further question. But Venerable Sir, in what are these 5 aggregates affected by clinging rooted? And the Buddha said, these 5 aggregates affected by clinging are rooted in desire, chanda, monk. Then he asked again, Venerable Sir, is that clinging the same as these 5 aggregates affected by clinging? Or is the clinging something apart from the 5 aggregates affected by clinging? And the Buddha said, monk, that clinging is neither the same as these 5 aggregates affected by clinging, nor is the clinging something apart from the 5 aggregates affected by clinging. It is the desire and lust in regard to the 5 aggregates affected by clinging that is the clinging there. But Venerable Sir, can there be diversity in the desire and lust regarding these 5 aggregates affected by clinging? There can be, monk, the Blessed One said. Here, monk, someone thinks thus, may my material form or body be thus in the future. May my feeling be thus in the future. May my perception be thus in the future. May my volition be thus in the future. May my consciousness be thus in the future. Thus, there is diversity in the desire and lust regarding these 5 aggregates affected by clinging. But Venerable Sir, in what way does the term aggregates apply to the aggregates? Monk, Any kind of material form, whatever, whether past, future or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near, this is the material form aggregate. Any kind of feeling, whatever, far or near, etc., this is the feeling aggregate. Similarly, any kind of perception, whatever, any kind of volition, whatever, any kind of consciousness, whatever, whether past or future, whether past, future or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near. It is in this way, monk, that the term aggregate applies to the aggregates. What is the cause and condition, Venerable Sir, for the manifestation of the material form aggregate? What is the cause and condition for the manifestation of the feeling aggregate, perception aggregate, volition aggregate, consciousness aggregate? The four great elements, monk, are the cause and condition for the manifestation of the material form aggregate. Contact is the cause and condition for the manifestation of the feeling aggregate. Contact is the cause and condition for the manifestation of the perception aggregate. Contact is the cause and condition for the manifestation of the volition aggregate. Mentality, materiality is the cause and condition for the manifestation of the consciousness aggregate. Stop here for a moment. So the earlier parts, I think you can understand. Buddha says these five aggregates are rooted in desire. It's because of desire that they manifest. And the clinging is the clinging for the five aggregates. This last part, the four great elements are the cause and condition for the manifestation of the material form aggregate. Rupa or matter is defined as the four great elements. So normally in the suttas it is said that when consciousness, vijnana, arises, it arises together with nama rupa. Nama rupa is mentality, materiality. So nama rupa arise with vijnana and cease, they always come together. They're like Siamese twins joined. So when you have vijnana, which is consciousness, for these six consciousnesses, that means seeing consciousness, hearing consciousness, smelling, taste, touch and thinking consciousness, whenever the consciousness arises, there must be an object. So Namarupa is the object of vijnana, object of consciousness. So Namarupa is phenomenal. So this phenomena, what we are conscious of in the world, we normally say has two parts, mentality, materiality, the mental part and the material part. The mental part, of course, is from the mind. This material part, rupa, normally we think is the physical world, right? But this physical world in the suttas is defined as the four properties, earth, water, fire, wind, the four great elements. Earth signifies the hardness element. Anything that we consider hard, we say that is the earth element. Of course, hardness has varying degrees, various degrees of hardness. Even softness also is a type of hardness. And then earth, water. Water is a property of cohesion. Water has a property of cohering things together. It's because of the water element in us that we have a form. If we were to take away all the water from our body, desiccate our body, we turn into powder, and the body will crumble. So this water has this property of cohering and giving things a shape. Earth, water, fire. Fire is the heat element. So the presence of the heat element or the absence of the heat element, so that is the heat. And then fire, and then earth, water, fire, wind. Wind is the motion. So this physical world, we like to think of it as something very distinct from the mental, that it is the physical world. But if we consider it in more detail, each one, for example, this hardness. Hardness is a perception, Hardness is perception. So perception is mind-made, right? So similarly with heat, with motion, with this perception of form and all these things. So for example, two persons may have a different perception. For example, if somebody, his karma is so bad, he lands up in hell, so he's burned by the fires of hell. Okay? But if an arahant goes to hell, his mind is different, so he does not feel the fires of hell. He's not burned by the fires of hell. So even this physical world that we think is so solid, is so real, actually it's all mind-made. That's why the whole world exists in the sixth consciousness. So when there is consciousness, there is world. There's no consciousness, there is no world. So Nibbana, in the state of Nibbana, Nibbana is not a place. Nibbana is a state when the sixth consciousness ceases. No world exists. Then Buddha says Nibbana is an extremely blissful state. Venerable Sir, how does identity view come to be? This identity view is Sakkaya Ditthi. Here among an untaught ordinary person who has no regard for Aryans, noble ones, and is unskilled and undisciplined in their Dhamma, who has no regard for true men and is unskilled and undisciplined in their Dhamma, regards material form as self, or self as possessed of material form, or material form as in the self, or self as in the material form. Similarly, he regards feeling, perception, volition, consciousness in the same way. That is how identity view comes to be. But Venerable Sir, how does identity view not come to be? Here among a well-taught, noble disciple, Aryan disciple, who has regard for noble ones, Aryans, and is skilled and disciplined in their Dhamma, who has regard for true men and is skilled and disciplined in their Dhamma, does not regard material form as self, or self as possessed of material form, or material form as in the self, or self as in the material form. Similarly, he does not regard feeling, perception, volition and consciousness as self, or self as possessed of the aggregates, or the aggregates as in the self, or the self as in the aggregate. That is how identity view does not come to be. Stop here for a moment. This identity view is one of the 10 factors that we have to eliminate to become an Arya, to become a Sotapanna, the lowest fruition. The Sotapanna has eliminated 3 factors. One of them is identity view. So this identity view means you identify yourself with the 5 aggregates. You take the 5 aggregates to be the self, or as belonging to the self, or the self as inside the 5 aggregates, or the 5 aggregates as inside the self. So you identify yourself with the body and the mind, because these 5 aggregates are the body and the mind, which ordinary people so regard. You take the body and the mind to be the self. So when a person understands the Dhamma, he can see that the body and the mind are impermanent, changing, ever changing, changing at a very fast speed. And if you cling to it, it's going to cause you to suffer, because nothing in the world is permanent. So when a person understands the Dhamma, slowly he lets go of this body and the mind. So when he does not see that the body and the mind are the self, so he becomes a Sotapanna. Although he still has a self, and the self is somehow tied to the 5 aggregates, but he can see that the 5 aggregates, the body and the mind, is not the self, or belonging to the self, etc. What, Venerable Sir, is the gratification, what is the danger, and what is the escape in the case of material form, what is the gratification, danger and escape in the case of feeling, perception, volition and consciousness? The pleasure and joy, monk, that arise in dependence on material form. This is the gratification in the case of material form. Material form is impermanent, suffering and subject to change. This is the danger in the case of material form. The removal of desire and lust, the abandonment of desire and lust for material form. This is the escape in the case of material form. Similarly, the pleasure and joy that arise in dependence on feeling, perception, volition and consciousness, that is the gratification in the case of the aggregates. But these aggregates are impermanent, suffering and subject to change. That is the danger in the case of the aggregates. The removal of their desire and lust, the abandonment of desire and lust for the aggregates, that is the escape in the case of the aggregates. I think last year we went through one sutta where we, in the Majjhima Nikaya, where we talk about the danger, the gratification, danger and escape in the case of material form. And it was said, the gratification of material form is to see a very beautiful body, a very beautiful material form, like in the case of a 16-year-old young girl in the prime of her beauty. And the danger is that when you see her again 80 years later or 90 years later, she's bent over and white hair or no hair, and feeble with age, wrinkled skin, ugly looking. That same girl after many years becomes ugly looking. That's the danger. Or she gets cancer or something in the middle of her life, and then she's lying on her bed, lying on her own excrement and urine, unable to help herself, and people have to feed her, clean her and all these things. That is again the danger. And then the third case is that after this beautiful girl has died, suppose the corpse is 3 days old, you look at the corpse, it's smelly, bloated, blue-black and all that. So this is the danger of material form. So things in the world are like that. When it's beautiful, we appreciate it, we want to cling to it, and then it changes. That beautiful girl becomes ugly, becomes a smelly corpse, and all this. So if we understand the Dhamma, then we realize things that we like to cling to are the very source of suffering. So then we realize it's not worth it. And slowly, as we mature in the spiritual path, we let go. Venerable Sir, how does one know, how does one see, so that in regard to this body with its consciousness and all external signs, there is no I-making, mind-making, and underlying tendency to conceit? Monk, any kind of material form whatever, whether past or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near, one sees all material form as it actually is with proper wisdom thus: this is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. Similarly, any kind of feeling, perception, volition, consciousness, whatever, whether past, present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near, one sees them as they actually are with proper wisdom thus: this is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. It is when one knows and sees thus in regard to this body with its consciousness and all external signs, that there is no I-making, mind-making or underlying tendency to conceit. Stop here for a moment. So here the Buddha says we have to see these 5 aggregates, any type whatever, whether past or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near, all types of aggregates are not mine, are not I, are not myself. So when one realizes this, then the tendency to conceit slowly we let go. Then in the mind of a certain monk, this thought arose: So it seems material form is not self, feeling is not self, perception is not self, volition is not self, consciousness is not self. What self then will actions done by the not self affect? Then the Blessed One, knowing in his mind the thought in the mind of that monk, addressed the monks thus: It is possible, monks, that some misguided man here, obtuse and ignorant, with his mind dominated by craving, might think that he can outstrip the teacher's dispensation thus. So it seems material form is not the self, feeling is not self, perception is not self, volition is not self, consciousness is not self. What self then will actions done by the not self affect? Now monks, you have been trained by me through interrogation on various occasions in regard to various things. Monks, what do you think? Is material form permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, Venerable Sir. Is what is impermanent suffering or happiness? Suffering, Venerable Sir. Is what is impermanent suffering and subject to change, fit to be regarded thus: This is mine, this I am, this is myself? No, Venerable Sir. Monks, what do you think? Is feeling, perception, volition, consciousness permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, Venerable Sir. Is what is impermanent suffering or happiness? Suffering, Venerable Sir. Is what is impermanent suffering and subject to change, fit to be regarded thus: This is mine, this I am, this is myself? No, Venerable Sir. Therefore, monks, any kind of material form whatever, whether past, future or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, etc. Similarly, any kind of feeling, perception, volition, consciousness, all should be seen as they actually are with proper wisdom thus: This is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. Seeing thus, a well-taught noble disciple becomes disenchanted with material form, disenchanted with feeling, disenchanted with perception, disenchanted with volition, disenchanted with consciousness. Being disenchanted, he becomes dispassionate. Through dispassion, his mind is liberated. When it is liberated, there comes the knowledge, it is liberated. He understands birth is destroyed, the holy life has been lived. What had to be done has been done. There is no more coming to any state of being. That is what the Blessed One said. The monks were satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's words. Now while this discourse was being spoken, through not clinging, the minds of 60 monks were liberated from the taints. That's the end of the sutta. This last part is very important. You find this a logic that the Buddha uses when the Aryan disciple understands it, then he let go and he becomes liberated. Namely, that the Buddha makes them see that these 5 aggregates are impermanent, and what is impermanent is a source of suffering, and what is permanent, a source of suffering and subject to change. It is not fit to regard it as mine or I or myself. So when they see this, then they let go. Become disenchanted. But the problem is, unless our body is very sick, it's very difficult to see this. But you imagine one day, if you have cancer, you have terminal cancer, and your body, the cancer has run all over the place, and it's giving you a lot of pain, and it's breaking up. Then only that person will see really what the Buddha says. What is impermanent is suffering, and not fit to be regarded as I and mine. Sutta 110, Chula Punama Sutta, the shorter discourse on the full moon night. Thus have I heard, On one occasion, the Blessed One was living at Savatthi in the eastern park in the palace of Megara's mother. On that occasion, the Uposatha day of the 15th, on the full moon night, the Blessed One was seated in the open, surrounded by the Sangha of monks. Then surveying the silent Sangha of monks, he addressed them thus: "Monks, would an untrue man know of an untrue man? This person is an untrue man." "No, Venerable Sir. Good monks, it is impossible. It cannot be that an untrue monk, an untrue man, should know of an untrue man. This person is an untrue man." "But would an untrue man know of a true man? This person is a true man." "No, Venerable Sir. Good monks, it is impossible. It cannot be that an untrue man should know of a true man. This person is a true man." "Monks, an untrue man is possessed of bad qualities. He associates as an untrue man. He wills as an untrue man. He counsels as an untrue man. He speaks as an untrue man. He acts as an untrue man. He holds views as an untrue man. And he gives gifts as an untrue man. And how is an untrue man possessed of bad qualities? Here, an untrue man has no faith, no shame, no fear of wrongdoing. He is unlearned, lazy, forgetful, and unwise. That is how an untrue man is possessed of bad qualities. And how does an untrue man associate as an untrue man? Here, an untrue man has for friends and companions those recluses and Brahmins who have no faith, no shame, no fear of wrongdoing, who are unlearned, lazy, forgetful, and unwise. That is how an untrue man associates as an untrue man. Stop here for a moment. This true man is called a Sappurisa. So an untrue man is a Asappurisa. It refers to the ordinary person, but here it seems like it's worse than an ordinary person. It refers to an evil ordinary person. An ordinary person is just a putujana, but this is a evil and stupid ordinary person. So he possesses bad qualities. Has no faith, no shame, no fear of wrongdoing, unlearned, lazy, forgetful, and unwise. And how does an untrue man will as an untrue man? Here, an untrue man wills for his own affliction, for the affliction of others, and for the affliction of both. That is how an untrue man wills as an untrue man. And how does an untrue man counsel as an untrue man? Here, an untrue man counsels for his own affliction, for the affliction of others, and for the affliction of both. That is how an untrue man counsels as an untrue man. And how does an untrue man speak as an untrue man? Here, an untrue man speaks false speech, malicious speech, harsh speech, and gossip. That is how an untrue man speaks as an untrue man. And how does an untrue man act as an untrue man? Here, an untrue man kills living beings, takes what is not given, and misconducts himself in sensual pleasures. That is how an untrue man acts as an untrue man. And how does an untrue man hold views as an untrue man? Here, an untrue man holds views such as this: there is nothing given, nothing offered, nothing sacrificed, no fruit or result of good and bad actions, no this world, no other world, no mother, no father, no beings who are reborn spontaneously, no good and virtuous recluses and Brahmins in the world, who have realized for themselves by direct knowledge and declare this world and the other world. That is how an untrue man holds views as an untrue man. And how does an untrue man give gifts as an untrue man? Here, an untrue man gives a gift carelessly, gives it not with his own hand, gives it without showing respect, gives what is to be discarded, gives it with the view that nothing will come of it. That is how an untrue man gives gifts as an untrue man. That untrue man, thus possessed of bad qualities, who thus associates as an untrue man, wills as an untrue man, counsels as an untrue man, speaks as an untrue man, acts as an untrue man, hold views as an untrue man, and give gifts as an untrue man. On the dissolution of the body after death, he appears in the destination of an untrue man. And what is the destination of untrue man? It is hell or the animal world. I'll stop here. So this untrue man is one who is walking the path to hell or the animal world. That means he's not only stupid, but he breaks the precepts and does evil deeds. Also, in the beginning, I forgot to mention, an untrue man, he cannot distinguish an untrue man from a true man. He cannot really know another person. Why? Because an untrue man, his mind is very clouded with greed, hatred, and delusion. So because of that, he cannot see things clearly as they really are. So how can he judge who is an untrue man, who is a true man? And this untrue man here is quite clear. He has bad qualities. He associates with friends who have no faith, no shame, no fear of wrongdoing, who are lazy, unwise, etc. And then when he gives advice, that harms himself, that harms others, that harms both. And he wills also for his own affliction and for others' afflictions. And then he breaks the precepts. He precepts against speech, and precepts against actions. He is careless, and then he has wrong view. This wrong view is worldly wrong view. Basically, there are three things here. One is that there is no result of good and bad actions, and then there's no other world. That means after death, there's nothing. There's no being reborn. And thirdly, he doesn't believe that there are good ascetics who have realized by direct knowledge the world. Okay. Monks, would a true man know of a true man? This person is a true man. Yes, Venerable Sir. Good monks, it is possible that a true man would know of a true man. This person is a true man. But would a true man know of an untrue man? This person is an untrue man. Yes, Venerable Sir. Good monks, it is possible that a true man would know of an untrue man. This person is an untrue man. Stop here for a moment. So here, this true man, I guess should refer to Aryan disciple of the Buddha, and because his mind is not clouded with so much greed, hatred, and delusion that he can see things as they really are, so he can tell who is a true man, who is an untrue man. Monks, a true man is possessed of good qualities. He associates as a true man. He wills as a true man. He counsels as a true man. He speaks as a true man. He acts as a true man. He holds views as a true man. And he gives gifts as a true man. And how is a true man possessed of good qualities? Here, a true man has faith, shame, and fear of wrongdoing. He is learned, energetic, mindful, and wise. That is how a true man is possessed of good qualities. And how does a true man associate as a true man? Here, a true man has for his friends and companions those recluses and Brahmins who have faith, shame, and fear of wrongdoing, who are learned, energetic, mindful, and wise. That is how a true man associates as a true man. Let's stop here for a moment. You see, every one of us, we have our ideals. Different people have different ideals. So a true person, a wise person, he appreciates those qualities that are good. So he himself has a sense of shame, fear of wrongdoing, is energetic, not lazy, he is wise, etc. So as the saying goes, birds of the same feather flock together. So he will look for ascetics or monks who are like that, who possess good qualities that live up to his ideal. And how does a true man will as a true man? Here, a true man does not will for his own affliction, for the affliction of others, or for the affliction of both. That is how a true man wills as a true man. And how does a true man counsel as a true man? Here a true man does not counsel for his own affliction, for the affliction of others, or for the affliction of both. That is how a true man counsels or gives advice as a true man. And how does a true man speak as a true man? Here a true man abstains from false speech, from malicious speech, from harsh speech, and from gossip. That is how a true man speaks as a true man. And how does a true man act as a true man? Here a true man abstains from killing living beings, from taking what is not given, and from misconduct in sensual pleasures. That is how a true man acts as a true man. And how does a true man hold views as a true man? Here a true man holds views such as this: there is what is given and what is offered and what is sacrificed. There is fruit and result of good and bad actions. There is this world and the other world. There is mother and father. There are beings who are reborn spontaneously. There are good and virtuous recluses and Brahmins in the world who have realized for themselves by direct knowledge and declare this world and the other world. That is how a true man holds views as a true man. And how does a true man give gifts as a true man? Here a true man gives a gift carefully, gives it with his own hand, gives it showing respect, gives a valuable gift, gives it with the view that something will come of it. That is how a true man gives gifts as a true man. That true man, thus possessed of good qualities, who thus associates as a true man, wills as a true man, counsels as a true man, speaks as a true man, acts as a true man, holds views as a true man, and gives gifts as a true man, on the dissolution of the body after death, reappears in the destination of true men. And what is the destination of true men? It is greatness among the gods, or greatness among human beings. That is what the Blessed One said. The monks were satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's words. That's the end of the sutta. So in the Buddha's teachings, you notice here that it is good to be born among the gods or among human beings. Some people, they say it's not good to get a rebirth in heaven. It's not true. Difficult to get rebirth in heaven. So if you say it's not good, it's like sour grapes. What you cannot get, you say it's no good. So we'll stop here. Anything to discuss?
Okay. An ordinary lay person, he has his central pleasure, the six senses.
Yes, one?
Six senses. The sex pleasure, the vision, the eye, the nose, the smell. Is it very wrong to have all these sensations and pleasures without feeling? Because sometimes you see a pretty girl, okay, you know she's a pretty girl, but as soon after that you draw and say, oh, you come ugly and so on and so forth. Therefore there's no feeling. But in the first instance, the reaction would be, oh, I like this, I like this handsome man, pretty lady, or I like to eat this food, that food. Is it wrong to have sensual pleasure?
It's not wrong to have sensual pleasures or to have money or to have a lot of children and property and all that. The Buddha says that is not wrong. But if you suffer because of it, then it's wrong. If you don't suffer, for example, somebody like Natapindika or somebody like Visakha, they are very rich, but they know how to use their money to do dana, to benefit people, and at the same time enjoy themselves. The Buddha said, if you have a lot of money, for example, the Buddha says, firstly, you use it to enjoy yourself. Secondly, you benefit your family, make them happy, make them enjoy life. And then you benefit your friends and relatives, your workers, and you keep some for doing charity, so that you can get some blessings out of that. Because as you enjoy life, we use up our blessings. So it's important to replenish our blessings. So if we know how to conduct ourselves. If you are wise, if you are guided by the Dhamma, then you can enjoy life now and then act in such a way that you will get to enjoy life again in heaven. But that you need wisdom. You need to be guided by the Dhamma.
Could you elaborate a little bit more about this being a Sutta, how in page 889 you talk about eliminating the authentic view. Besides that, what other major factors lead to the Sutta? Besides eliminating this view?
The most important condition to enter the stream, because the first path is to enter the stream. The most important condition is to understand the Dhamma, to get right view. When you get right view, then you have become a first path attainer. Okay? And in the suttas, in the Majjhima Nikaya, Sutta 43, I think, it says there are two conditions for right view. One is the voice of another person, somebody else teaching you the Dhamma. Of course, nowadays that includes books. And the second condition is yoniso manasikara, thorough attention. Okay? Now, not everybody is able to have yoniso manasikara. Yoniso manasikara means you have quite a clear mind, so that when you listen to the Dhamma, you can understand. Okay? So it helps if you practice samatha meditation. When you practice samatha meditation, you train your mind to focus, to become one-pointed. If you constantly train your mind to become one-pointed, then when you either listen to the Dhamma talk on the CD or you read the Nikaya, the suttas in the Nikayas, then you are able to focus your mind and understand. So I always say, for us, the spiritual path, two things are most important. One is to listen to the Dhamma that is based on the original suttas, and the second is to practice samatha meditation, to train your mind to focus.
Thank you. The other one, simpler question. You talk about the Uposatha days. Here you talk about the 15th or the last day of the month.
Okay.
Is it these 2 days only, or is it the 8th?
Okay, there are 4 Uposatha days in a month. Okay. If we go by our Chinese lunar calendar, which has 30 days or sometimes 29 days, the first one is the 8th of the month, Chopat, and then the 15th, and then the 23rd, and then the 30th or 29th. But in Thailand and in India, the lunar calendar is a bit different. They go 2 weeks, not like ours, 30 days, or 29 days. For them it's 2 weeks. So the first 2 weeks of the lunar month is 15 days. From the first lunar day until the 15th. Okay. Then the second fortnight, sometimes it's 15 days, sometimes it's 14 days.
So sometimes you talk about keeping these the 8 precepts on these Uposatha days. Should we be keeping just the 15?
Okay, sorry, I didn't elaborate. Okay, so for lay people, the Buddha says that lay people should keep the 8 precepts on the Uposatha days. That means the 4 days of the month. That means the 8th day, 15th day, 23rd and 30th or 29th. But for monks, we chant the precepts once a fortnight. That means on the 15th lunar day and the 30th. If no 30th, means 29.
The abandonment of 5 precepts, is there
Any
any sequence?
sequence?
Do they have to go by sequence or?
No. When if you notice in the description of charana, the conduct of a monk, the sequence of the monk's practice is that he goes forth, then he keeps the precepts, then he practices contentment, then he guards his six sense doors, he practices moderation in eating, he strives to maintain his wakefulness and all these things, and then he goes to a secluded place to practice, and then he meditates hard. When he meditates hard, and the mind starts to become one-pointed, then the sloth and torpor begins to be eliminated. When the sloth and torpor is eliminated, then it is stated that perception of light comes forth from within, wells up. So when that happens, these five hindrances all are eliminated together. Yeah. Same. If you meditate hard, of course those things in charana that the monk practices, of course what you can do, you do.
But it is perceiving and light. It's nothing to do with seeing light at all.
There's a perception of light welling up. That one is no. That one is like. That one is. That one just comes and goes lah. Comes and goes. So, Chi Phun, Thanh Đồ Ma, này cái Sutta 108, Phật Thọ講淨係四禪淨係四禪係佛陀嘅禪如果冇割呢個五蓋啦，佛陀唔讚咁樣嘅禪Okay, shall we end here?